Hey, what's up guys? Today in this video, we are going to move ahead with our checkout process. So we will add a product and we saw how we were able to add shipping address for a customer. So in this video, we are going to move ahead and see how we can remove an address. Let me quickly show you rather than talking too much. So I have this wireless mouse, I add to cart, go to my cart, proceed to checkout. Now in here we have these two addresses. Like if I now try to add one new, so test, just add something random over here, add that, and then as you can see over here I get this thing, correct? And I can delete this if I want to, and the address is gone. I'll show you that it actually is available on the admin of that customer details, right? So if I go over here, vendure admin, customers, where am I? Yeah, edit, and I have 1 2 3 test 2, right? And now if I come over here and if I remove, this goes away. So if I refresh now, only 2 addresses are visible. And at one point, because we have an active order, if I select this, like this is where I want to ship the order, if I click select, I'm taking to the cart page right now. But if you go to the orders, get into the active, this is my last order, right? I open and I can see that an shipping address is added to it. It doesn't come here by default, it is still in the adding item. So if I click over here, no, not this one, let's just say I cancel this. So this order is cancelled, right? Now if I try to go over here, buy something else, let's just say this laptop, I will be able to see this in my cart page. And if I go to active orders, can you see there's no address associated with this order? So once I click proceed to checkout, select this address, refresh, this address is added, right? So this is what I'm going to cover in this video, how I have done that. So obviously the first thing is we need to go to the set address page. So let us do that. And over here, first let's understand how the remove functionality is working. So we have this address card which basically renders this particular thing, right? I changed a little bit of UI as well to get that select and remove thing. I am thinking even I'll add some small buttons where this is red and this is green. But anyways, so I have this remove and select option, right? So basically the address card now, apart from taking these two props, it is also taking 2 more props, which is select address, which is a function, and even remove address, which is a function. Why? Because the card in itself does nothing but says when the select is clicked, it sends the address, and when remove is clicked, it sends the ID. Okay, so let's get inside the address card. As I mentioned, the props, now it's taking select address. It is expecting a parameter which is of type I address. The remove address is expecting a parameter of ID which is type number. I destructure them inside the the props so that they are available inside the component. And then it is very simple. I have 2 small tags. One is select, the other one is remove. On click of select, I call the select address and I pass the current address which is coming through the props. And on click of remove, I just send the address because that's what I'm interested in, right? So this is what the address card is doing. Now on click on calling this function internally also on this particular page, what I have is select address. But before that, let's quickly look at the remove address because that's the simpler one. So on click of remove address, I am calling this function, which is actually a mutation. You must have already understood this. Okay, so let's look at the mutation over here. So I have a mutation called remove customer address mutation. The query is pretty straightforward. It's a mutation which actually runs delete customer address. It takes the ID, returns success as boolean. So I'm calling this is the function which will get executed, passing the variable, and then this is an interesting thing. So fetch address. What is it doing? Well, we have done this previously in our card page as well. What happens is any use query gives me the ability to destructure and get a function which is refetch. If I call this refetch function, it will automatically make another GraphQL query at any point when I call this, and it will update the data variable. So what I can see is whenever the remove button is clicked, a mutation is triggered which deletes the address from the customer object. But then I have already queried the addresses on the page load. So what I do is I refetch the data by calling the user address query, and that's how, whenever something is deleted, right? Test this. So I'll just show you on the console what is happening. So let's clear the network and do stuff. So as you can see, 2 API calls were made. Shop API first did a mutation. I know that because the payload says the query is mutation, right? With these particular variables. So once I got the response, what I did was I did a refetch. Why? Because if you see over here, I first run the mutation and then I do this refetch, which is making a query mutation, a query, GraphQL query to get the addresses of that current customer. And that's how we get the latest set of addresses, right? So that's how the remove thing is working. That's the simpler one. Now let's come back to the part which is selecting an address. Now for selecting an address, let's first understand. There is a mutation called set order shipping address. Okay, what it does is it expects input create address input, which is basically nothing but the same address input which we did for creating a customer address as well. But as I mentioned in my previous video as well, when an order is created, the best thing to do is add the address to that order, because the order will remain in history and you may want to refer to the address where that order was shipped or where the order was billed, right? And it is quite possible that the customer later on changes that particular address. So you should not tamper with the historical data, correct? Who is stopping me from, let's say today my home address is Mumbai. If I, let's just say, shift to West Bengal, wouldn't my home address change? So then before shifting to West Bengal, all the orders which were shipped to my home address, will they change suddenly to West Bengal? No, right? The data is immutable. The historical data is immutable. So what happens is when the order is created, right, we associate the entire address, or rather we add that particular address to that order. So that's where this mutation is running and it is adding that. And if we see, this is how that order gets the address. So what is happening? Well, we are calling this function and we are getting the address as the parameter. Why? Because as we saw, the address card sends that, right? Because this is the function which is getting, which is being sent to the card as a prop. So when this function is called, the address parameter is here. I destructured everything over here because I need to send all the parameters as variables to this mutation query. So as you can see, I have destructured everything from the address variable, and then I run this mutation, which is add order address. Again, the second mutation over here, correct? And in this, in the variables, I'm passing this. The only change over here is country code is country.code, because country is an object in itself. Okay. And that's how we create that order, or rather create that address to that particular order. And once that is done, which is a promise, once the await is done, right, I push the user to the my cart page. Ideally it will go to a different page, because there I will set the payment details, maybe the billing address and stuff like that. But yeah, right now this is where I'm redirecting to. And I'm also thinking that for simplicity, I will add one more mutation over here, which is adding the same address to the billing address as well, because I right now don't want to get into the complexity of having a billing address which is different from the shipping address. Okay, but yeah, that's about it, guys. That's how we got our functionality of the entire thing about selecting an address, removing an address, and even adding an address if you already don't have an address as a new customer. So yes, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And yes, if you have any queries, feel free to comment below and reach out to me, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.